Thank God for cryptocurrencies, a way that people can trade outside of a scrutinised, centralised, corrupt financial system, which is why the world's governments are shutting it down. Hello there, you 5.1 million awakening wonders. I know there's threats everywhere and doubt inside you sometimes is natural, but we can continue to awaken together. The conversation that we have is part of the power that we have. Don't let them shut you down. Don't let them call you crazy. Don't let them call you a conspiracy theorist, because new information is coming into the mainframe and we're going to riff with it together and build a new discourse, and you are part of it. You know that. I know that. Hope is abound. And if you're in the UK, you can come see me live. I'm appearing in Scarborough, Newcastle, Glasgow, Bristol. There's a link in the description. Blackpool. I'm doing these shows. They're fantastic live experiences. We can get close to each other. We can feel one another in the room. We can start to change this meaningfully together before yet more avenues of possibility are shut down, as is happening in the USA and obviously Canada. We're talking about cryptocurrencies and new measures both in the United States and Canada to monitor and control the exchange and transfer of cryptocurrencies. This can be a complex issue. God knows I can barely understand it, but together we're going to get to the bottom of it, because when you look at alternative means of trading, alternative and parallel adjacent systems, you know that the government's got to get their claws and paws all over that stuff, right? And that is indeed what's happening. Let's look at this story now. Ever since decentralized cryptocurrencies started emerging as less of a passing novelty and more of a serious alternative to paper money, thus threatening to trigger a domino effect that might one day put the current world order relying on paper money in serious jeopardy, governments have been fidgeting, trying to come up with some type of regulation that would give them control over the developments. In February, the head of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission called on lawmakers to grant his agency authority to regulate cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, saying the speculative fervour around such assets has left investors in need of protection. The government, they're always there to protect us, protecting us from speculating, protecting us from getting unwell, protecting us from leaving the house, protecting us from freedom. When they start to say they require regulatory power in order to sort of damp down speculatory fervour, don't you just hear, this cryptocurrency thing is actually working. We better shut that shit down fast. See, I've got my doubts about cryptocurrencies, partly born of my own ignorance and inability to fully understand it. Hit me up in the comments below if you believe that you understand it, or some good stuff that we can watch together so we can learn together about it. But when people start trying to shut it down in the government, that's when my ears prick up. That's when I think, hello, they're trying to shut it down. It does work. They're creating their own centralized cryptocurrencies in national banking systems. It does work. And when I talk to you about global governmental change, I don't mean we should ever create one centralized government. I oppose centralization above all else, but we do need something that's as powerful enough to confront our current hegemony. And maybe our own systems of trade, our own systems of currency would present us with the opportunity to create in real time alternative systems where we can just let the old money, the old paper, silly old establishment world atrophy around us. Now, if this is more covert, what's going on in America, protecting us from speculating. In Canada, it was a bit more obvious and explicit because the measures they took under the Emergency Act but are not rescinding was provoked by mass action. So it was a bit more hysteria and panic about it. Oh no, people are getting together and protesting. Shit. Emergency measures, emergency measures. Let me remind you. The Canadian government introduced new rules under the Emergencies Act that will require payment service providers and crowdfunding platforms to report large and suspicious transactions. In a news conference on Monday, Minister for Finance, Chrystia Freeland, Klaus Schwab's project, oh, there she is. You're doing very well in Canada. How's things going? Are you able to freeze bank accounts yet? I don't like to pry. Chrystia Freeland, whose name sounds sarcastic, said that the new rules will cover all forms of transactions, including digital assets, such as cryptocurrencies. Just slipping that in there, just quietly closing down another little avenue of freedom. What's it going to be next? Oh, well, everything's been shut down. I can't spend any money. Bank account's been frozen. I might go just sit on the swings down at the park. Those swings have been frozen. Oh, well done, Christia. You shut down the Sphinx, did you? Even I wouldn't have thought of that. Meanwhile, south of the border, in a hearing before the Senate Agriculture Committee, which oversees derivatives markets, CFTC Chairman Rustin Burnham also echoed skepticism expressed by his fellow Biden administration regulators about the potential that cryptocurrencies offer. Mr. Burnham suggested Congress pass a law that would allow the CFTC to regulate cash markets for certain types of cryptocurrencies and provide it with funding to conduct additional oversight. Such legislation would aim to fill a regulatory gap, as some types of cryptocurrency claim to fall outside the jurisdiction of the federal government's other market regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Part of the appeal of cryptocurrencies that even I, Luddite that I am, can appreciate is that they are able to operate outside the auspices of technocratic global autonomy. There is an ability to transact without the slippery fingers of the New World Order government system taking a few pennies here or there, or preventing you from acting with financial freedom and impunity, which is sort of what free market capitalism, even, which as you know, I've got my doubts about, is supposed to offer us. Well, here they go again, looking for a way of shutting that down. You can almost imagine the meetings. There is a new means of financial transaction emerging. Oh, dismiss it, discredit it, badmouth it, criticize it. It's still working, they're not buying it. Shut that shit down. Both the CFTC and SEC crack down on cryptocurrency projects and trading platforms they have considered to be breaking the law or defrauding investors. But as we've just seen, the law changes. The law is plastic. The law is the tool of the government. If there isn't a law to shut you down, they'll create one. But neither agency has won undisputed oversight over the two largest cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ether, which together represent about 60% of the entire market. Congress must work with regulators and the Biden administration to design a framework that protects consumers and our environment and keeps our markets fair, transparent and competitive. That's what they always offer up, innit? We're coming to protect you. All right, we're here to protect you. Fucking just leave us alone, all right? We'll protect ourselves. No, you need a bit of protecting. Sit still, sit down. And what about this bit? Fair and transparent. Where's the fairness and transparency in Congress people like Pelosi and cross-party politicians using what appears to be insider trading knowledge to make money from stocks that they are supposed to regulate? We've done stories on this. If it's fairness and transparency, stop lobbying. Get the money out of Washington, stop people in Congress from financially benefiting from stocks that they are supposed to be regulating, most notably Pelosi and her husband and all of their big tech stock. These are measures you would make if that was true. What it seems like you're trying to do is prevent other people from profiting. Ordinary people potentially. Now, I'm sure cryptocurrencies, being a financial market, is already dominated by the kind of powerful forces that other financial interests are dominated by. But the fact that it's being regulated leads me to believe that it's a potential outlet for ordinary people, that it represents a degree of freedom precisely because of the regulation. That's where my own personal trust when it comes to government regulation sits. And I'll tell you why, because I've just seen what's happened in Canada. I've just seen a protest maligned as racist. I've just seen bank accounts frozen, emergency acts introduced in the name of what? Protection, fairness, transparency. So now when I hear those words, I recognize the dog whistle. I now know how to decode. They've taught me how to think. In February, CNBC reported that some lawmakers and their families are betting thousands of dollars on crypto. Okay then, it's all right when they do it. If you're so worried about it, don't fucking invest in it. The thing is with cryptocurrency, and what we need to protect you from, is that we can't currently regulate it and therefore predict its behavior and therefore accurately know when and how we should invest in it and therefore increase our own profits. You can see that would be a problem for us. We've got to protect you. We've got to protect you from us ever being poor and therefore beholden to you for money. And that would mean, I guess, we'd have to do what you wanted instead of what we wanted. And you can see why we'd want to protect you from that. Congress is taking a hard look at crypto as an investment opportunity. 8 lawmakers or their immediate family, dependent child, have traded cryptocurrencies over the past year, with bets ranging from about $1,000 to as high as $100,000, a CNBC analysis found. Well, what a surprise. What a surprise to hear. On one hand, we want to regulate it, we want to stop you doing it. On the other hand, we're doing it though. The crypto trades create another wrinkle in the debate over potential conflicts of interest in Congress. The cryptocurrency industry is ramping up its lobbying machine as lawmakers and regulators weigh new rules for the sector. That's a nice cryptocurrency business you built yourself there. Be a shame if someone came along and regulated it. Do you mean we have to give you lobbying money? I didn't say that, but I heard you say it. One interesting way in which the entrenched global establishment is now trying to tackle the problem of cryptocurrencies is emerging via the institution of financial surveillance. In the US, the ubiquitous surveillance of financial activities of citizens is done discreetly. And if you try to make it less discreet, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Or Russia. With the Treasury and banks relying on the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN. FinCEN has a global counterpart, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, that says its key job is to prevent money laundering. And FATF has gone a step further than FinCEN. Oh God, these names are shit. Come up with some better names. Has gone a step further than FinCEN currently does by coming up with a draft proposal, a guidance that wants to introduce what it calls an expansive cryptocurrency standard. Virtual Assets Service Providers, VASPs, something that is feared to present a threat to safe and private transactions by ordinary people around the world. Yeah, they want regulatory bodies, they want their cut, they want their lobbying, they want you in line. Sometimes you realise that films like The Godfather are so brilliant because it demonstrates to you that the whole thing's a racket, that the coalescence between crime, what we understand as crime, you know, poo, 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 and like government, is just some diplomas and some documents and some wigs and some hats and some suits and ties, and that's where the line is drawn. It's still about the enforcement of power. It's still about who's allowed to do what. If they do it, it's okay. If you do it, it's not okay. This is how we are governed. The relationship between people that are governed and those that govern them has always been one of tension. They offer us protection in order for our tax money and for our general obedience and compliance. This is like basic mangling of Foucault that I'm offering you there. Well, it's pretty clear to see that there needs to be a renegotiation in that relationship, that power has become too centralized at a national level and even a global level, that there needs to be a dissolution, a dissemination, a redistribution of power so ordinary people can participate in their own governance. How about this? A vote. Do you want us to regulate cryptocurrencies? We really need to protect you. Fuck off. Oh. The guidance in the work since 2019 has the goal of aligning VASPs with traditional financial institutions. The document, although not legally binding either on participating countries or VASPs themselves, is hoped to spur them to act proactively in assessing their compliance, i.e. to self-regulate, to satisfy the guidance rules, and thus prevent the need for governments to step in with their regulation, which would no doubt surface significant political controversies and is thus best avoided. So what they're trying to do is go, look, we're going to regulate this if you don't start playing ball and letting us in. You've got a racket running there and we ain't in on the racket. Let us in on the racket, else we're shutting down your racket. Gangster. Once again, the parallels with attempts to regulate social media and user-generated content platforms in general is self-evident. As technology grows, it presents opportunities. Initially, those opportunities are for everyone. Over time, it becomes colonized, the way the internet got colonized. I'm old enough to remember the beginning bit where it's like, oh shit man, Napster, we can get everything for nothing. Now, you turn on the internet and you go in a series of interfaces, essentially virtual shops that mediate and manage your money. Same with cryptocurrencies, which I don't claim to properly understand. There's an initial period where there's an opportunity, and what happens is, corporations and government, in alliance with one another, create regulation that benefits them and shuts down your hope. And the only way to oppose that? Popular uprising. But if you do that, they're shutting down your bank account. So what do we need to do? On a massive scale, on an unprecedented scale, look at means and methods of dissent and confrontation. Never violent. Always peaceful, but new ways of saying we need to run our own systems. We've had just about enough of your help, thank you. Could we help you? Could we help you? No, thank you. We'll help ourselves. We'll organise our own societies, thanks. We'll organise our own systems. We've had quite enough of your help in the last couple of years, particularly. Thank you. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below so we can keep this conversation going. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it around. Tell us what cryptocurrency resources we need to look at. Do I need to be investing? Should I be investing? And I'm on tour. Come and see me in Newcastle, Hull, Blackpool, Plymouth, Bristol. I'm all over the show. There's a link in the description if you do fancy coming to see me. If you like this video, have a look at this one or this one. There's a mailing list you can sign up to if you want to know what I'm doing every single week. I love you. Stay free.